So what services does Radical Healing provide to both RAD children and their families?
We have two major areas of service in terms of the children and their families. And it starts in many ways in an odd place because these children have had such an upside down beginning. They need to be parented in a rather upside down way, or really a non-traditional way that's much more attuned to the child's reality. And so we do a lot of training of parents, a lot of education to help them be able to make every interaction with their child meaningful and intentional toward the growth of trust and safety between them and their child. One of the things that has gone a long way in our understanding is Dr. Daniel Hughes, one of the foremost leaders in attachment training and application with families of adopted and foster children, developed a method called PACE. It's an acronym, P-A-C-E, for the inner attitudes of parents and their interactions with children. Works for therapists too, I might add. So the P stands for playfulness, which isn't appropriate to every moment and situation, but many times some playfulness creates that bond of shared enjoyment. The other three are A for acceptance, not acceptance of the behavior necessarily, but acceptance of the person. And the C stands for compassion, and the E stands for empathy. And while most people can say those words and know what they mean, at a superficial level, the training that we provide is to help parents really deeply learn how to stay connected to their children and to not be taking personally some of the hurtful or potentially hurtful behaviors that the children do, but rather to understand that those are signs and symptoms of their own wounding, and that instead they can come alongside their child in a compassionate way. One theme that we hear from many of the parents that come to Radical Healing is that they've learned so much about connection with their child and compassion. And one of the phrases that I've really borrowed from Marshall Rosenberg, my mentor, is connection before correction. And it's so understandable that parents want to fix, they want to solve the problem. The child says, "I'm so angry because you gave me chicken soup." And the parent thinks they've got to have a discussion about chicken soup and how healthy it is. And all they need to do is hear their child and let them know, "Oh, you really wish that you had something else," or "This is really hard for you right now to enjoy this soup." They don't have to even change the soup and offer three other things. They just have to acknowledge what's alive emotionally in their child at any given moment. "I hate you and I hate this family and I want to go away. You're all mean." That comes out a lot. We hear that. And when the parents learn not to get into a discussion about what's good and what's mean and so on, but rather just to empathically connect with their child and say, "That must be so hard for you. If I felt that I was in a mean and terrible family, I'd be upset too." And so in that way, they really connect. And the child, knowing that they've gotten connection, it's amazing how they're able to blossom in the atmosphere of deep connection, deep empathy. So the radical and radical healing is really a play on words at two levels. One is the RAD at the front, of course, but the other is that the word radical comes from the Latin root word for the root. So it's a play on words that it's healing at the root level. And what most of us as parents have grown up with and learned as children ourselves is to deal with behaviors. And what we're saying is, let's look at what causes the behaviors and let's interact with that, because the children's wounding happened at a pre-verbal level when they were very young in most cases. And so we really connect with them at a pre-verbal level. We're not going into long dissertations about the nature of sadness or anger or chicken soup. We're talking about how distressed they are, and we're meeting them there and understanding their feeling, not arguing against it. And amazingly, family after family sees that kind of connection, starts to open trust in their child, and they start to develop what hadn't been developed beforehand, a real trusting attachment.